Right, hello. So it's about 8:30 at the moment. Just watched the Watford game. I'll ask it as we always do. Where were you and how did you watch it? How did you see it? Mikey, how did you see it?
At the ground.
At the ground, nice, Tiz.
The sports bar. It was decent.
Awesome. Nice. Yeah, I saw it. I watched it on online again. Watched it as on Sky Sports. Roller coaster of emotions. Mikey just mentioned it just before we pressed play that it was a complete up and down. But shall we try and go in order, or do you just want to do initial first?
I just love how we've just not. You've literally we just have no structure to this. It's just like what do we think right now? When? So first up,
we normally
team
go through
sheet, lineup. What are we saying for that?
Okay.
What are we saying for that?
Lineup. I don't know. I just can't. I'm just too happy with the actual result. Just talk about the result.
To be fair, I remember because after the game, I was walking down the street by myself, just with a smile on my face. People around Derby must have thought I was so odd. I was just walking down the street, just
he was high or something.
Yeah, I've got raisins and chopped tomatoes in hand, just bouncing up and down, loving life.
That was probably the weird looks, but no, I'm just so happy with the performance. In the last 20 minutes, that's what the major turning point was. I was thinking, if we don't get anything out of it now and heads drop again, we've got no chance this season. That's what I was thinking. We have absolutely no chance. If we don't get anything out of this game, we got no chance, because this is the point where you got to dig in deep, and there's not going to be an easier game with the current form that Watford are on, and them travelling to us. There's not an easier game in this season that we can predict so far. So it was basically all or nothing today, I reckon. And yeah, it looked, first half was pretty dire. And I don't, it seemed like the double substitution was a turning point.
100%.
Yeah, it was so good. I mean, Shane Long should have scored 2 goals, but him getting in the right place and showing that we can actually create chances did spur us on.
So, and the two goals, they weren't to his fault. They weren't good connections, but they were on target. They were going to go in if Foster didn't make a fantastic save. And I don't know
if Foster wasn't in the goal, he would have scored. Yes.
I don't know who. No, it was a really good save from Foster, because you don't expect the ball to go to that angle, do you?
See, that's the thing.
You don't expect him to try and chip him from 2 yards.
He's probably going quite low because he's thinking, it's going to be driven into the floor, so I can get down.
Yeah.
So Long gets under it.
What the normal strikers do.
Yeah, it was crazy, but that, to be fair, like, if he meant that, then fair play. It was quite bold if he didn't. But the second one, he just kind of came over the ball, was a little bit behind him, but just no real power on it. It meant Forster could get to it.
But at that point, I thought it was going to just be one of those days, if you know what I mean. Like, sometimes you just have those days where the ball just won't go in the net. And I thought, please, just don't be one of those days. Don't be one of those days.
Yeah, but once that first goal went in, I just felt instantly more confident, because I knew it was almost role reversals. Watford were doing exactly what we do, in the fact that they got an early goal, they conceded, and they had no plan B. It's almost like, it's like seeing a duplicate of our team in yellow and black. Like
that first goal was like just. I don't know how it happened, really.
What, the Watford one or our one?
No, our one, because it was just bundled, like everything that could, any body part, any part of it. Gineppo, I don't know how he kept the ball in, apart from using his hand. I don't know how he kept the ball in. Cut it back. Foster was on the floor, and Ings, I think he was in mid-air where he made connection, wasn't he? And he was trying to jump over Foster. Or something like that.
Yeah, when Ings got pulled back, when Ings was pressing Foster, and then actually got in front of him like Ings does, and Foster basically sneakily pulled him back, but then made it end up looking like it was his foul. He couldn't have done better if he tried. But yeah, there was clearly a point where, I think it was the double subs. I can't think of it before that, because Redmond was shaking his head, wasn't he?
Yeah, he was.
Redmond threw his tape off in anger.
And neither I wasn't. To be fair, I'll admit it. I wasn't happy, but I was wrong, and I'll admit that I was wrong, because I'm happy that I was wrong. The fact that I thought Redmond shouldn't have came off.
It was one of because I originally thought I only saw Buffal get stripped off. I didn't see Long get stripped off, so I just thinking, he's going to take Obafemi off. We're going to just switch it to a 3.
Yeah.
Took Redmond and Obafemi off, and I know Obafemi does a job when he's running in behind, but he's not strong enough and he's not big enough to challenge for headers. He is literally just ball over the top. Can you get onto it? Long just is a present up there. Him and Buffal changed the game today. I know Long didn't score or get an assist, but he changed the way that Watford had to play. We suddenly had an option up top who could challenge for headers, who would run in behind, and Buffal's just a magician. He's incredible. Everything that I've said about him in the last 2 years or so, whenever we signed him, what a player he is.
I'm happy because my shirt this is doubled in price after today.
Yeah,
it's just doubled in price. It's just gone from 15 up to 30 quid in value now after that. But it's just with Shane Long over Obafemi, he's just got that natural instinct to get in the right position as well. Because that was his 300th Premier League appearance and 54 goals, which isn't ideal, 53. But he does still have that natural ability to get in the right position. Not the natural finisher, but the natural ability to get in that position.
Yeah.
And that's what he added. And in the first half, Ward-Prowse put a back post corner into Obafemi, and whether he meant it or not, to put it into Obafemi, who's 5'6", I was like, right, something needs to change here. Because as much as I like Obafemi, he's not doing anything that's helping us.
Do you think Shane Long deserves a start in the next game against Norwich?
Yeah.
Considering that Obafemi's now played 2 games in a row, we're going to have a change side. You could have Long and Ings up front maybe against Norwich. That could be a possibility.
I would argue that probably we should start with the same 11 that ended the game.
Yeah.
I know that involves dropping Redmond, but in all fairness, Redmond hasn't offered a lot this season. He's scored a tap-in away at Brighton, and that's it. He hasn't really... he doesn't have that same confidence about him, and I don't know whether a couple of games out just would try and revitalise that. But when we had Buffal and Gineppo, they were running at defenders and they were taking them on and causing a problem.
Yeah.
And Redmond just was not causing a problem. Whenever he got the ball, he'd pass it back to Bertrand or something like that. The first half was one of the strangest first halves ever because it looked like that they just all been told to not run with the ball. And that we just don't dribble with it. We're just going to try and pass it around Watford, and it just wasn't working, whatever we were trying to do.
Yeah.
I think the only chance we created was that Ward-Prowse little flick. And apart from that, there wasn't a lot else on.
Yeah, Redmond had a couple of shots off target when he kind of cut in but blazed it over. Højbjerg smacked one from far out. And you could clearly see the nerves were still there in the first 10. Højbjerg back pass, we almost conceded straight from Stevens not being confident. Probably that little bit of confidence, maybe that little bit of overthinking just for the first goal. He's either got to either go back to keeper and straight out, or he's got to get a hold of the ball, get his body in between the striker, but he's kind of hesitated and let the striker get a hold of the ball and then gone in. Good finish from their striker, to be fair. I'd
argue that it was poor positioning from McCarthy as well, because the way that it looked like he just opened up the entire goal for him to score in. I don't know if that was just the angle that I was sat at.
I think it's more. To be fair, I think it's a bit more than that. Cause the angle that I saw, and I'm not the biggest. I'm quite a big critic of McCarthy. To be fair, I think it was just quite a good finish. To be honest.
Well, to be fair, McCarthy, because he was a little bit to the.
He was a little bit to the left.
Right. It must have been left. Yeah. So McCarthy kind of came, obviously made himself look big, arms up, but at a certain point he has to come down to reduce the space. Yeah. And their player hit it side foot, but put it over McCarthy.
It went over McCarthy,
yeah. So because he was clean through on goal, McCarthy had to close the space. He couldn't wait for him to come closer. Yeah. So that in the way that he did come forwards, as soon as he goes to ground and kind of puts his hands up, there's just a massive space in front of him where, because he's so far out, it's basically like a hard chip, really. It wasn't like a dinky chip. It was like basically a powerful one above the keeper's head.
Yeah.
A powerful side-footed shot.
Yeah.
It was good finish, but
No, that's what I'm behind the goal. I'm really high up, so whatever angle I see the goal at, it doesn't really look like any.
And I don't know whether it was just the cameras, but was it quite empty today? Like, did you notice?
Like it.
It looked from specific camera angles. It looked like there was patches of just empty seats. So I didn't know whether you noticed it in the stadium.
There was 27,000 people in there, so there were 5,000 empty seats.
Blimey.
So it didn't feel like particularly empty, but I don't know if that's because the seats were all spread out, or I didn't really like give it a look. Really, it didn't. It wasn't as noticeable as probably some other people found it, but well, no, it's mostly the lower sections, isn't it? That's what
it looked like on the TV.
Those first 5 rows, which is unfortunate because that's where the cameras are. So
if they just put the cameras up a bit, don't look at the pitch, just
raise the pitch.
Look at the crowd.
Raise the pitch.
Just moved everyone down, and then have the space at the top, and no one would know,
Exactly. Yeah.
Hey.
You've got a Tin Pot Club. Yeah, I don't care. We won today. I don't care. I don't care.
Yeah, and it's brilliant as well because I had my Twitter on while I was watching the game, so I could see the live feed of #SatesFC, and it was brilliant. The change between everyone slagging off Ward-Prowse to everyone going mental about Ward-Prowse scoring that free kick. Like everyone going, Ward-Prowse, the only thing he can do is put in a fairly decent looking cross. Only sideways passes and no attacking threat. What is he even in the team? Ward-Prowse, what a goal! And those tweets quickly get deleted.
What I was saying to one of my mates is it seems like a constant rotation of throughout the week, Ward-Prowse will be called everything under the sun. Then when the game starts for the first 10 minutes or so, or 45, he'll be called horrendous. And then he'll score at some point in the game. And for the rest of the game, no one will say a word. Nothing positive, nothing negative. No one will say a word. And then during the week, they can then go back to slagging him off. It's quite an interesting, circle of Ward-Prowse love.
I don't get it. I don't get like we're supposed to. Most clubs, when someone comes through the youth system, like they are lauded above every other player.
Yeah. Rice, Longstaff, like any other player in the chat,
any
Longstaff
player like that,
too.
They are like the fan favourite.
Yeah.
Ward-Prowse.
Who's that young lad from Chelsea that always gets the praise?
Mason Mount.
Reece
James.
Reece James. They love him. The Man United ones love Chong and McTominay. They give that, and to be fair, normally it's like they'll give them an extra chance, whereas they always give them less of it. Saints fans give them less of a chance just because of the actual caliber of players that have come out previously from the youth system. But anyway, go on.
So I find it really funny that you get like people criticising Stevens, Ward-Prowse, Target when he was still here as well. They were the ones to be first criticised, not the players that have been brought in, not the players who are actually performing badly, but the academy graduates. And I don't really know why that is. Doesn't really make sense to me, especially when they're still performing all right. But I don't know. And it was Stevens' mistake today as well. It was his mistake. He should have cleared it, and he didn't, and it hit his thigh. And played a perfect through ball for Sarr to run onto.
The thing is, like, as much as people, to be fair, I didn't see that many people criticising Stevens today, just because he's has a few good performances before that. It's not like he's had bad performances, and then this tops it off. So next game, I'd more than happily see him start again, because it's only one mistake in a few, and you don't want to tell a player you've made one mistake in 3 games, you're gone. Because what confidence does that give him? So I'd more than happily see him start against Norwich, and he's been pretty.
But quickly going to Ward-Prowse, I mean, a lot of people criticise him, but we can kind of go on his natural ability, and he's not particularly fast. He's not going to be that kind of excludes him from being in a winger position, because there's just people with natural pace that possess more of a threat when they're out wide. And I wouldn't say he's a born natural goal scorer, but he's definitely worked on it. We've seen that come through. But what he has worked on is things that he had to his game that he can improve much. So he had a good cross. He's now a very deadly set piece specialist, isn't he? He's proved he can score free kicks when it matters. He proves he can put in a good corner. It's just sometimes we don't see the end of it.
Maybe not today. Today
No,
wasn't
there
the
was a
best
couple that are
example of his
questionable,
corners, but normally, yeah, fair enough.
And the one thing I was saying, a couple more final third passes. If he starts threading those through, he's starting to develop that part of the game that he can really improve. He could get on the training ground every single day and improve his sprinting. But the thing that's going to really make the difference is him increasing the things that he's already good at, and he has the ability to improve it. Because I think the best playmaker in the league is Kevin De Bruyne. You look at him, and that's what you got to model yourself on if you're in Ward-Prowse's business, aren't you? Because De Bruyne is not especially quick, and he's not especially tricky. He's got good feet, and he can get past a player, but he's not like a Buffal, Djempo, like that kind of that flair style.
Player.
Yeah. So, if he models that, like, did you see the De Bruyne shot today?
It was something else.
Beautiful, yeah.
Just the sound it made off the crossbar.
Oh yeah, absolutely beautiful. But that's what Ward-Prowse has got to aspire to, isn't it? A player with good set pieces, can pick out a pass, and's got a good finish on him. And those are the three things that he's got to model himself on. And I'm just hoping he can build up to there. And you got to say his fitness, Mikey. You mentioned it before, don't you? Ward-Prowse's fitness. He gets picked probably every week because he's got a good fitness and fits around style. Because that's something you can easily work on. You can get on the treadmill, can't you? So I'm really happy that free kick will get everyone back on his side again, because I think he does really deserve it.
Well, for the next 3 days, it will anyway.
Yeah. Well, we'll see.
No doubt after an average 45 minutes next week, people will be, oh, he's horrendous again. But yeah, I know exactly what you mean. Yeah.
Okay, so we've done about 15 minutes of initial thoughts. Shall we try and go chronologically, or is there anything else that you want to quickly address? But what pops to mind?
Well, I think if Redmond wants to get back in the team, he needs to kick his kitchen table, because apparently kicking your kitchen table makes you have a fantastic performance.
Oh man, yeah. I don't know. I honestly don't. I don't
know the science behind it. Mikey, sports scientist, kicking your table.
I wouldn't recommend it, but it seemed to work at
performance.
this point, yeah. It seemed to work. The last thing I really want to comment on is Watford look dreadful. They do not look like a good side at all. Like, the fact that they had one tactic for the entire game, and that was just lump it and hope that our defence made a mistake. Yeah. Thankfully, it only happened once.
Yeah. It's not a bad tactic.
Rest of the time, it just... And I feel sorry for Watford in general, because they're playing with 2 wingers up top, and they're playing with a central midfielder in defence. And it's a bit... They've had so many injuries this year. They sacked probably one of the better managers they've had in a while.
Kike's probably going to get sacked now as well.
Too early, and then they're going to sack another manager, and they'll probably get another manager and sack him by the time that they get relegated. So
yeah,
it's not looking good for them. And Andre Gray definitely, like, when Andre Gray is not starting ahead of 2 wingers, that's when you know you've got a problem.
Dini was on the bench the whole game, wasn't
he? Yeah. Like they're
a
mess at the moment.
We always talk about formations and lineups and what we want to see. For the back, it provides another player in that midfield, and we needed that today to get those attacking chances. Yeah. It allowed Ings not to be isolated, and had Obafemi doing the hard work, allowed for Shane Long to come on, and for us not to do major changes, because I think that can overwhelm you sometimes. If you're playing a set formation you've worked for the whole week, and suddenly the manager's brought on 2 players and no one knows where they're playing, I think they are professional footballers, but the pressure is going to get to them as well. So, playing that formation they're used to, and to an extent doing a like for like, but changing a slightly different player. So Shane Long's going to be better at winning it in the air. He's got good pace, and he can pop up in the right position. So I think it's good that didn't we play 5 at the back against Everton? We did.
Yeah, we did.
So,
yeah, because Vestergaard played.
Yeah, and you just look there today. We looked. I know Watford didn't offer too much of a threat, but their chances again came from our mistakes, not particularly too much individual skill from their part. And I think we should be moving on 4 at the back now. try and solidify that and move up and focus on capitalising up front now. I think we've got a chance now.
I don't think the problem's capitalising up front. I think it is just if we can get a clean sheet against Norwich, that'll be a massive confidence boost for them.
Yeah.
And then it's about getting the clean sheets for the back four. It's like that's what it is. Because at the moment, I don't think we've got a clean sheet since Sheffield United.
Yeah.
I think that's the last one. So like, there's definitely. The strikers I don't think are lacking in confidence. I think some of the creative players are. Ings isn't. Definitely not. I don't think Obafemi is because I don't think he ever is lacking in confidence. But I think Redmond's lacking, and as long as we get clean sheets, that'll just boost the back four as well.
I agree with that, but I also think they can be sensible enough to rationalise it that if it's an individual piece of skill or a brilliant goal, then that shouldn't take the confidence out. It's just ironing out those individual mistakes, and I think that should be like imagine if we won a game 2-1 and conceded from a Norwich player smacks one from 25 yards, keeper can do nothing about it. And at the end of the day, I think the players are going to be able to rationalise it that yes, it wasn't a clean sheet, but there's not much we can really do about it. I know it's not. I know it's not very often. Most of the time, it's capitalising on a mistake somewhere along the line. But I think, hopefully we should have the confidence to realise that if we haven't made a mistake leading to the goal, and we're confident we're still playing well, that the players should still be able to perform well, and take confidence from their performance rather than just a clean sheet. But I think again, a clean sheet would just do that as well. Would be another way to prove that performance and that they are steadily improving as well. But I'm just really happy to finally. It takes so much pressure off now going into. Well, it makes Norwich still an important game, but it's it could have been so much more pressure, so much more of a nervy feeling going into the game, and it feels like they can play there with a little bit more confidence now. We can do it against Watford. What stops us doing it from Norwich? We can play well away from home. Let's go and do it.
It's the first points that we've got at home since. Like I saw the last time we got points at home, and I left at late September. So it's good to see us pick up points.
Well, it's Wolves. Home. Wolves was the last game that we won.
It's April, wasn't it?
And that was April.
The last time we got a point was against Manchester United, and that was September. Was that September? Yeah, well, it must have been at least September. That's all right, most September.
Yeah.
But one thing I did really enjoy from this game, and it's kind of off topic, the fact that Ben Foster and Watford are professional time wasters, and then just watching them scurry around past the 85th minute, trying to get the ball, trying to do all of that. After we wasted time, It was so good to watch. I was still nervous as anything, but it did give me a little smile.
Yeah, and it was so nice to see that we were. I said it before about 10 minutes ago, but it's exactly what we did, wasn't it? Away from home or at home even. Sometimes we would play for an early goal and then sit back and just soak all the pressure up until we eventually cracked. But today, the roles reversed and we were almost like, we've conceded, but we've got the confidence to go out there and get a goal back. It didn't look like it in the first half, but in the second half, a double substitution early, 50-something minute. I don't know the exact one, but
something like that.
It was early enough.
57.
There we go. Cheers, mate. He's gone, right, it's not working. Let's change it. And he's found the right substitution. That's probably one of the doubts that people have been having can Ralph change a game? And he's proved today that he can. That's another reason why I think we should back Ralph now, that he's shown the potential that he can make the right substitute change a game.
It's 2 home games in a row because he's bought. I mean, it might just be the fact that Boufal is actually an all right player, but he's bought Boufal off the bench twice now in a row, and it's changed the game and made us play better. So maybe that should show him something that Boufal maybe should be starting.
Was Boufal better off the bench, would you say?
I don't know because I haven't seen him start.
Yeah,
That's a good point. And when you
Yeah,
did mention that,
play.
Harry, maybe it is something to do with, I don't know, with the way the kind of way that Buffon is as a player.
His own ego,
yeah,
not in a bad way, but his own ego to show why he should be started. Because that's what happened under Pellegrino. When he scored that goal against West Brom, I think he
what
came
did
off.
he go? He
I
went
think he
straight up
came
to
off the bench there.
Pellegrino.
He scored the goal of the season and then went and ran straight in front of Pellegrino.
That's all he did that year.
Yeah. But because once he gets that starting space, it may be that he's a player that he just needs to work towards something, and he wants to get that first place, or he wants to prove himself, or he wants to get on the highlight reel or whatever. It'd be interesting to see if he does get a first team place. He's had a decent string of games now. Can he solidify it? Can he prove himself to be a reliable first team player that plays the system and can offer something for 90 minutes, or whether he is best used as a surprise sub on 60 minutes? This is his chance now. If he does get the call up, he's got to prove that he can last the whole 90 and he can be effective for the whole 90. That's the issue we've been having with him, that he's either very hot, very cold. But you look at Redmond, he didn't have a great game today, but he wasn't a weak point per se. He still worked hard and he still maintained possession up front. You've got to try it, but if he's coming out of the team, Buffon's got to hold his place now. He's got to get in there, create chances, and prove he should be a first team player.
Yeah. That's the thing. Like, he does seem like more of a team player nowadays as well. He does seem like more of a team player rather than last season or the season before when it was very me. I want to do it. I want to be the best in the team. He's doing a bit of skill, but then he's passing it off, which is good to see. I know it's the basics, but it is still good to see.
Does the fact that Che Adams not involved kind of worry you, or do you reckon that it was just not the game for him today?
I was like, my thinking is that if any game was the game for him to come on and make an impact, it would have been this one. We're 1-0 down against bottom of the league and the £15 million strike we've got sat on the bench. You would have thought would have been the one to make the difference. But then again, we've already taken Obafemi off and put Long on, and you don't want to take Ings off because he's one of the hottest strikers in English football at the moment. So I don't know where else he would have put him on unless he wants to put either Ings or Long on the wing, and neither of them are effective on the wing. So it's interesting to see that he chose Long over Che Adams. That's the interesting point.
Yeah.
But after that point, I couldn't see him come off the bench due to the fact that we only had two strikers.
It just put too much stress on the formation, didn't it?
Yeah.
But so we've said that we'd like to see the same team that changed the game in the half. Do you think they have enough time for recovery, or do you reckon he will have to try and make some changes to the team just to keep up that high, but that pressure style? Can they do 90 minutes of high pressure football within 4 days?
I don't think so because they only played for the last half an hour of the game, didn't they? They didn't play for the rest of it.
Yeah, but what I'm saying is you only get 3 subs, Mister. Smart ass. There's still 8 other players on that pitch.
The game's on Wednesday, and they'll have Sunday off, and then they'll do light training on Monday, and then they'll do match training on Tuesday, and then they'll have Wednesday. I don't think it's going to cause a lot of stress on people. The only people that I can really think about like actually causing stress is Ward-Prowse and Højbjerg, because they did do a lot of running in that midfield. Yeah. But everyone else, I think they should be pretty much fine. It's whether you want to take the risk with Ings or not. Does he still have the injury risk or not? But the fact he didn't actually come off this game, which I thought was interesting, because most games he comes off around about the 70th, 80th minute.
Yeah.
And just to save him, but he didn't come off this game, so that was good to see as well. He did a full 90 minutes, which was
that's the thing. Good. That could be just get on the start of a good run of form, and then we overtest Ings within 4 days and he pulls a hamstring and he's out for 3 months, and then we have to rely on Obafemi, Long, and whatever's wrong with Che Adams. That could be another issue. So hopefully, obviously, Danny Ings doesn't want to drop time. He wants to be on the starting 11, but hopefully we don't see Ings being pushed too much, and he is, at the right level.
They'll have that conversation though, won't they? They'll know it, and Danny, most importantly, will know it, and they'll. I know every player will say, "Oh yeah, I'm fine for this game, fine for that game," but they'll know. I think he's at that point where I know it's difficult, but he knows that this could be his best season so far, and he doesn't want to be stupid and go, "Yeah, I could just." I know I'm injury prone, but I could definitely push that game as well. Whereas I'd much rather see him, as bad as it is, get rested for the next game, give someone else a chance, and then just it means that he'll be fully fit for our next fixture against Newcastle. I'm pretty sure it is. I don't think that will happen. I think he'll play. I think he'll play the next game, and I think he'll play at least 60 minutes. But if it means that not taking a risk on him,
but
going up against a team
quite
possibly
like to see, because we know what Danny Ings is like with an injury. What I'd quite like to see him is give either Obafemi or maybe Che Adams, maybe Shane Long starting, give them that role in getting into a game as soon as it starts off, and then if it's not going your way, you can bring on your firepower later. Could that be an option to go for, or do you reckon we should go straight from the start?
I don't think Ings is that sort of player. I don't think he would have an impact off the bench because, you think most impactful players off the bench, they have pace, they have a lot of skill, they look to run in behind. Ings isn't that sort of player. He's a poacher. He's a player who he'll try and get involved deep, and then he'll get in the box to try and finish one off. So I don't know how much of an impact he would have. I would prefer him to start against Norwich, and if he is struggling, come off and bring one of an impact player on. I'd much prefer that than to see him get benched in the form of his life. Like, I think he'd find that incredibly weird.
Yeah, that's true. That's true when you put it like that. I'm just apprehensive the fact that it's not like something that aggravates. It seems like whenever it's one of his injuries, it's there and then it goes. It's a muscle or something like that.
The problem is that it's Norwich. It's going to be one of the most important games of the season. There's no point in what risk would you put? This is a problem. It's going to sound worse the way that I don't want it to sound. But do you want to risk your striker of having a potential injury, or risk the fact that you're going to lose to someone else who's in the relegation zone?
My only thinking is, because we've got Newcastle, West Ham, and Aston Villa next, I'd rather know that he's going to be fit for that and maybe not drop this game because I know it's difficult to say, but because it's Norwich and Ings, it wouldn't be losing. It would just mean having a lesser chance to score. We've still got a decent strike on the bench, but I would want him to start. I just don't. I want him to be honest. I know he's not listening, so it doesn't matter. But I want him to. I want him to be honest with himself and know that if he can't do it, don't.
It sounds so bad. Like, I don't want it to sound like I don't want Danny Ings to play, because obviously I do. He's in brilliant form.
100%,
but he's scored half of our goals in the Southampton team so far. Like, he's got, if he can, he's got to. But if it's a chance, then I don't want us to play that risk and then it to go to backfire on us, because we've got loads of games in December coming up anyway. So if there's people there that, if Shane Long's come on and thought he's had a good game and has got confidence, we have the chance to utilise that, then I think it could be a possibility to look at. I mean, it's just, I'm just worried that, Ings, something could go, and then we got to go the whole summer, like a winter period with all the games with our main striker gone. I don't know.
I just don't. I just want him to start. I want him to start now that he's in form, and because you don't know how long the form's going to last. So, you just got to keep starting him. And I know it's probably increasing the risk of injury, but if he's doing everything right off the pitch, then he wouldn't get injured. So,
in all fairness, he didn't he played like a whole 90 minutes today. He looked fine, to be fair. So, I think it'll be fine. It's just because we know what can happen.
It can happen to any player.
I think we're overthinking it because it is. But I know it can happen to any player, but it's more likely for certain players.
Yeah, it's an increased chance, isn't it? That's the one thing I think me and Harry are kind of coming from. Like, we're obviously not saying we want him to not be dropped. We just don't want that chance of getting up an injury because he is so important.
Because he's imperative.
Mm. That's the slight issue that I have. But I mean, yeah, I hope.
I'll just find it stupid dropping him, like just because he could get injured. I'd find that like more stupid than like actually not starting him.
Well, even if it's just he's tired, which then could cause an injury. You know, him to overexert himself. Like he's got. What we're saying is, if he's up for it and we know he can do it, then yeah, fine.
Yeah, I know. I totally
On the
understand
side,
that.
yeah.
You said that about 3 times now, but
All right.
that's
that's
the only thing that I'm not getting.
Okay, yeah. Well, we're not going against it. I'll stop repeating myself now. Any other things that you guys want to you're thinking about? I know we'll do a preview to the Norwich game, so just kind of thoughts on today. Anything near the end or anything positive? Obviously, Valerie came on for Cedric, was it? Right back like for like. Any thoughts around that, or the defensive performance today, or anything?
I don't know. Like my only thing today was in the first half, and probably until we made those substitutions, all our passes seemed so hard. I know I don't want to go negative on a win, but all our passes seemed so half-assed and like they didn't really think behind half their passes. I know that's like most of the games we've played, but that was my only disappointment that. The first half did seem like it felt like the last 20 minutes of the game against Leicester that everyone was just already a bit sluggish. And that's why I was hoping to get into half-time only 1 goal down due to the facts that I knew I was at least hoping at half-time that half-time team talk would change it up or the tactic would change it up because we just didn't look like we were going to score at all in that first half. That's my only thing. Like, people saying
the first half performance was not horrendous. Like, it wasn't awful. I think the fact that we conceded and the fact that the passing, it was slow. It was a slow game. We weren't really looking forward. We were going backwards a lot of the time, and there were a lot of mistakes being made. But the fact is, we still created chances like that. And that's the reason why, even going into the second half, I was still confident because I know we play better in the second half. We play a lot better in the second half most games. And the fact that we still played that poorly, Redmond still had a couple of shots. I think Ings could have had an opportunity. Obafemi nearly went through. Højbjerg had a shot on the outside. Ward-Prowse had a little flick that nearly went in. Like there were still positives to take from it. And I think it's just the Southampton mindset right now is that if we don't go forward and if we don't look like we can score 8, then it's a poor performance. And like that's just what it seems like. But it wasn't poor. It wasn't great. It was just incredibly average. I think that's what I took out of the first half. Is it was just such an average game. Watford didn't look impressive. We didn't look impressive.
But that for me is almost just as worrying. The fact that we look on par with a Watford side, which are almost pretty nailed to go down. Everyone's kind of said to them now, yeah, they look down and out. They've already gone through 2 managers. Like you said, you were saying at the start of the episode that they got two wingers up front, centre mids in defence and things like that. And the fact that we don't look any particularly different to that is almost just as worrying to me. I mean,
fair enough.
Yeah,
it's that thing. If we didn't come firing out the blocks, it was sort of a walk out the blocks rather than right, let's attack them, let's go, let's do. Because apart from that Ward-Prowse chance, there wasn't anything clear cut that we created. That's my only concern. That
the Ward-Prowse chance wasn't even clear cut.
That's what I mean. Like even then, like we had motivation in the second half, but the first half it just didn't seem like anything was there. But thankfully, because my main concern from that was, he's lost the dressing room, but clearly he hasn't because we got that reaction in the second half, or at least in the last 20 minutes. So if anything, in a weird way, that from nothing to something gave me more confidence due to the fact that they still have faith in him. Because I already had my post-match speech almost ready. I was like, the manager's fantastic and our players are all right, but it's just not the right fit. Whereas now I do have that more level of confidence, because it can be a fact that a manager's really good and a set of players could be good and they just don't work. But thankfully, from that second half, I have so much more confidence of the players and manager as a combination.
Do you know what? I had a horrible thought at half time, and I did not like thinking it. But I was thinking that we missed Lamina, because he when on his day when he was actually playing, probably when we were playing against the top six and the scouts were there. He would pick the ball up and drive in midfield, and that's what we're currently missing. We don't have someone. Højbjerg and Ward-Prowse, as much as like they're probably technically good and like have an engine on them, they don't have the ability to drive at a defence. And that's what Boufal provided in the second half, is he actually drove at the defence, made them worry, asked them questions. And in that first half, we just had no one who had the confidence to pick the ball up and run at him. And then as soon as we got that first goal, or like you started creating chances, Long missed a couple, and as soon as we started creating chances, players were willing to do that. Djenepo didn't do it in the first half. Second half, he did it, got the assist, and we got back in it. But like, just having that confidence to run at players, that will cause them questions, and
it's just it's that. Chances. But any player, you can see it with Leicester at the moment. Leicester, when they won the league, I mean, you've got players there that on confidence are world beaters, and we're just quite a low place confidence wise at the moment, that people don't want to take that risk because they'll be punished inside of a hostile environment at St Mary's at that point. That's kind of what they're thinking. Ralph's obviously calmed them down. They've built on the chances. Something like a corner gets the atmosphere up in the stadium. Something that little bit of relief, we can do something, and we kind of build it from there. And Lamina on his day is a very talented player, and you can see it. He'll go up against the top six and look like he should be in their team, not ours. But against a kind of a really scrappy game against Watford, would I think he'd turn up? I'm not.
He's not
too
a player
sure.
to dig in. He's not.
No. Like, second half, he was definitely not missed, but it was just like a thought that I had. We don't have a player who will pick the ball up and drive through the midfield. And I'd argue, I don't know who you drop between Ward-Prowse or Højbjerg, but I'd argue that that's probably something we need in January. Is a player in them. We probably need an experienced centre back to try and cut out the errors, like a Premier League experienced centre back.
Yeah.
And we need a midfielder that can drive through the middle. Either that's a change in formation where we do play a 3, we play Boufal attacking midfield, and then he can drive through, or we need a central midfielder who has the confidence to drive through, but also has the ability to defend.
We've mentioned it before, and I think you're right, that the fact that the 4-2-2 leaves a big gap in midfield. That's the one issue that I have, that you don't have that kind of number 10, your classic number 10 in the hole, who's either putting it out wide, committing defenders, or slipping in behind. He should be able to have either 3 of those options available to him. But we don't really have anyone in that position at the moment.
That's what I thought, that we did that quite well in the second half. Boufal was basically given free rein in the midfield. That's why he was floating everywhere. His main position was on the left, but he was floating inside. He was making runs inside. So he did that. But also in the second half, it seemed like with Ings and Obafemi, because they haven't played together, it didn't look like they had a partnership. With Long and Ings, there was at least some understanding that Long would go in behind and Ings would drop back. So that's where the spaces were being filled.
Possibly Ings could even come into that role a little bit. I'm not saying turn around and play, but he can drop in and put his body behind and almost create a 1-2 to create those pockets.
I would argue that it'd be more effective just giving Boufal a free role and then letting Ings drop than playing an attacking midfielder, because that then changes, like the full-backs would be dragged out position, the centre-back would be dragged out position. So I'd say that'd probably be a little bit more effective than just playing an attacking midfielder.
Yeah.
But I don't know, it's the second half, it seemed to work. When Boufal and Long came on, it just seemed to work. And I think that's what we've got to stick with for Norwich.
Yeah.
And what you were saying about playing Boufal first, I completely agree with you. Is the fact that it sounds weird because they're on opposite sides of the pitch, but I think as wingers, Boufal and Djenepo play better as a combination than Redmond and Gineppo. I don't know what it is. It just seems like they have so much more confidence. They played so much better. Both of them played so much better when they have each other. If that makes sense.
Yeah.
On each side, I think. I don't know what it is, but I just think they both just not try and outdo each other, but like they have so much more confidence just driving forwards.
Yeah.
And
they're very similar players, aren't they? Boufal and Gineppo.
I think Boufal does just bring that little bit more confidence, like onto the pitch, because he can do something out of nothing, and then you'd more likely take that risk than just play it to Redmond, who he's not that kind of. It's very difficult to describe because they do seem quite similar, but Redmond doesn't have the trickery that Boufal has. He doesn't have the feet that Boufal has. So like that's where they're different.
The only slight difference I have is that Redmond and Bertrand have to have a little bit more understanding than I think Boufal, and I think Bertrand doesn't quite trust Boufal sometimes. No. And you can see he seems a little bit hesitant to pass it, but
there's positive, like that Boufal can come out with something, but that he won't track back like Redmond will. That's the difference between them. Redmond could probably cover Bertrand for a little bit if Bertrand runs up. Well, that Boufal just won't run back. That is the difference between it.
Yeah,
I think.
Okay. Well, I've realised that I said last week how I'd write the predictions down. I actually got it spot on, so it's been 36 minutes in without me reframing from mentioning it, but I did notice it. 2-1. Tish, you went for 3-2. Mikey went for 2-0. So you did say 2 goals for us.
Should we go like? I'd say should we go 2 points for if you get the result right, 5 points if you get the score right. But then
that means that we have to write it down.
Wait. What I'd say that is then all of us but Jamie would always just say Southampton are going to win anyway. So all us three would just get the same points.
Or you say something controversial like a draw to play it tactically, and then you look quite negative. That's the only problem.
Exactly.
You're saying, only a draw against Norwich because you're thinking it might be a scrappy game or whatever.
I like the fact that you two thought about it. I just thought, it's too much effort.
Well, you just couldn't be bothered. Yeah.
I can't be bothered. It's too much effort.
All right. Okay. Well, we've been going on for a while, so we might as well wrap it up. Like I said,
we've had no structure yet. We've still covered every single point that we should do. It's mental. We're just natural. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. So before everyone gets their egos too high, I think we should end the podcast here.
Well, that's what. Yeah. Okay. Go on then. All right. Quickly. Norwich game preview will be coming soon. It will probably be Monday, possibly. I'm not sure. Tuesday, Monday. We'll work something out. We'll do it off the podcast. Probably do our planning off the podcast instead of last week when we did it on the podcast. But they can also get in touch. We'll probably do questions for that. So, Tiz, how can they get the questions in?
Saints Prime on the Instagram because it's midweek fixtures. I don't know what it's going to be, so just keep checking,
brilliant.
And it'll be up there eventually.
But I don't know
when we're going to record the next one, so it'll be up there eventually.
Yeah,
but then because of the Saturday game, that one will be the regular time of Wednesday. Yeah. Maybe not actually. You'll see.
We don't know.
You'll see.
Just keep an eye out.
I know, you'll know.
Yeah. And they can also get. Make sure you follow our Twitter, which is Saints Prime Pod. Notifications on, and you'll get a message as soon as the podcast goes on. Direct links to your favourite podcasting channel. Go straight to the podcast and download it. So direct. A couple of tweets on there as well. We'll obviously try and sometimes people get in touch on there as well. So if you want to send questions on there as well, feel free to. So thank you very much for listening. It's been me, Ollie. I've also been joined by
Harry
and also
Mikey.
All right, see you later.